Bobby Ray Hopkins, February 12, 2004. On July 13, 1993, between 4 and 5 a.m., Hopkins broke into the residence of Sandy Marbut, then 18 years old, and her cousin Jennifer Weston, then 19. Hopkins slashed Sandy more than 40 times with a knife during the attack, and defensive wounds showed she fought for her life. Hopkins sustained cuts during the assault as well. He attacked Jennifer at the base of the stairs when she walked downstairs, stabbing her 66 times. The knife wounds claimed the lives of both females. In a filmed interview later that night, Hopkins acknowledged that he had gone to the house and argued with Sandy, who then drew a knife. He stabbed her during the battle. A bloody boot taken from Hopkins matched a bloody footprint discovered at the site. Hopkins' blood was found in the location, according to DNA testing. Witnesses claimed that Sandy accused Hopkins of stealing money when he visited the house 2 weeks prior. Hopkins was on probation for cocaine distribution at the time of the killings. He declined a final meal, and he didn't have any last words. Cameron Todd Willingham, February 17, 2004. On December 23, 1991, he was found guilty for the arson murder of his 3 young children at the family home in Corsicana, Texas. The validity of the guilty verdict and the interpretation of the evidence used to convict Willingham of murder and arson have been the subject of intense debate since his execution. I have a video on my channel with all of the details in this case. Willingham's last meal was tater tots, ribs, enchiladas, onion rings, and 2 slices of pie. He gave the prison warden the finger just before he passed away because his final remarks were so obscene and offensive to his ex-wife Stacy and the witnesses that the warden began the execution to silence him. Marcus Bridger Cotton, March 3, 2004. Cotton was found guilty of robbing Fort Bend County Assistant District Attorney Jill Epstein in the parking lot of the Jewish Community Center in southwest Houston at approximately 10 p.m. on September 18, 1996. Jill Epstein and Sean Carothers were approaching their vehicles when Cotton and his accomplice Lawrence Watson, both carrying firearms, rode bicycles through the community center parking lot. Watson went up to Carothers, robbed him of his money, put a .38 caliber revolver to his head, and told him to get out. Cotton, meanwhile, pulled out a semi-automatic revolver, walked up to Epstein, and demanded money. Carothers, who had driven to call the police, returned to the parking lot and started blinking his lights and blowing his car horn to try to fend off the robbers, while Cotton led Epstein to the rear seat of his Mustang. Cotton shot the assistant district attorney twice in the head. Carothers pursued and hit Cotton as he and Watson tried to leave on their bicycles. Cotton was able to get away on foot by hopping a fence. Watson accused Cotton in Epstein's murder when he was arrested a week later, after Crime Stoppers received reports. Watson told police that Cotton killed Epstein because he had noticed the gold badge he was carrying as a district attorney's office employee. Inside the vehicle, the badge was discovered sitting at the victim's feet. Police were reportedly informed by witnesses that after viewing the badge, Cotton boasted about shooting the law. Cotton was previously found guilty of possessing cocaine in 1992 and given a 4-year prison sentence. In 1992, he was found guilty of attempted murder. 7 months before killing Epstein in 1996, he was granted parole. His last meal was chicken fried steak with cream gravy, macaroni and cheese, fried okra, 1 slice of cheesecake with whipped cream and sprinkled pecans, 1 slice of pecan pie and apple juice. His last words were, "Well, Mom, sometimes it works out like it is. Love life, live long. When you are dealing with reality, real is not always what you want it to be." Kelsey Patterson, May 18, 2004. On September 25, 1992, at around 3 p.m., Patterson left his Palestine home while carrying a .38 caliber handgun. About a block from his house, he strolled to Oates Oil Company and unexpectedly shot Louis Oates, 61, the company's owner, in the head. Patterson left when Oates collapsed to the ground in front of the loading dock. Dorothy Harris, Oates' 41-year-old secretary, screamed when she spotted Oates' body on the ground as she left her office and entered the loading dock. After coming back to the scene, Patterson also shot Harris. Following that, he returned home, set down the rifle, took off all of his clothes, and started to move up and down the street in front of his house. Patterson was apprehended by police for his role in the double murder after they arrived. While they were co-workers at a Dallas hospital in 1980, Patterson also shot Richard Lane twice. Lane lived through the event. Since Patterson was found to be mentally incompetent, he was not put on trial for that shooting. While working together at a restaurant in Palestine in 1983, Patterson also shot Kevin Hughes in the arms and chest. Hughes also survived. Patterson avoided that trial as well for being found mentally incompetent. He made no special meal request, but he was offered and accepted a candy bar and a soft drink. His last words were, "I'm not guilty of a charge of capital murder. Give me my rights. I'm acquitted of capital murder." As the warden leaned over him and asked if he had a final statement, Patterson responded, "Statement to what? Statement to what? I'm not guilty of the charge of capital murder." Patterson continued to ramble, asking repeatedly for his rights. At one point he said, "Go to hell." As he was saying, "Give me my life back," the lethal drugs took effect. David Ray Harris, June 30, 2004. Mark Mays and his girlfriend, Roxanne Lockhart, were sleeping in a bedroom when Harris, armed with a .38 revolver, burst into their Beaumont apartment. Harris awoke them and told Mays to lock himself in a restroom in the hallway. Then he escorted Lockhart into his pickup truck from the rear door. After gaining his freedom, Mays grabbed a revolver and went up to Harris in the parking lot. Both men traded fire. Mays died from his wounds after being hit 5 times, the final time at a distance of 12 to 24 inches. After being struck in the arm and neck, Harris rushed into his truck and ran away. Lockhart got away safely. 4 days after being pulled over for drunk driving, Harris was taken into custody. He was dishonorably discharged from the U.S. Army and subjected to a court-martial. Due to his thefts and burglaries while stationed in Germany, he received a sentence of incarceration. In California, he was also found guilty of robbery, burglary, and 2 charges of attempted burglary. He was given a sentence of 6.5 years in prison. For his false testimony against Randall Dale Adams, Harris became well known. The case was highlighted in the documentary Thin Blue Line. Adams was freed after Harris eventually retracted his testimony. His final meal was a double bacon burger with cheese, lettuce, onions, mayo, and tomato, onion rings, French fries, 1 barbecue beef sandwich with fries and coleslaw, 2 pieces of coffee cake, tea with lemon, a pitcher of lemonade, and 2.5 pints of milk. His last words were, "Sir, in honor of a true American hero, let's roll. Lord Jesus, receive my spirit. I'm done." Jason Shane Busby, August 25, 2004. In Maydale, Texas, Busby shared a cabin with his friend Christopher Kelly and Kelly's girlfriend Brandy Gray. They stayed in a trailer with an acquaintance, Tennille Thompson, in Antioch on Sunday, April 16, 1995. Busby drove Kelly's truck to get donuts for breakfast the following morning. Darrell Smith accompanied Busby on returning. Some of the group, including Busby, alternated between consuming Mary Jane and firing an assault rifle outside that cabin. That evening, Busby and Smith stepped outside the trailer at around 10 o'clock. Kelly was shot as he opened the door after hearing them load a rifle, while Tennille Thompson and Brandy Gray were then shot by Busby. After rolling Kelly over and stealing his car keys, wallet, and $15, Busby and Smith took off in Kelly's truck. Chris Kelly sought assistance at a nearby residence after suffering a gunshot wound to his neck. On the night of the shootings, an officer saw Kelly's truck on the nearby highway and arrested Busby and Smith. Busby eventually confessed to the shootings and had a clip of bullets in his pocket. According to Kelly's testimony, Busby claimed to have sold his soul to the devil 3 days prior to the shootings. He had no final words and no special last meal request. James Vernon Aldridge III, August 26, 2004. James Vernon Aldridge and his older brother, Ronald Aldridge, robbed an East Fort Worth convenience store on February 3, 1985. James Aldridge used to work at the Circle K store on Sycamore School Road, so he brought his chrome Raven .25 caliber pistol and drove there with his brother. Ronald drove around the block to wait for his younger brother after dropping him off at the store. The convenience shop was closed for the evening, so store worker Brian Clendenin had shut the doors. Aldridge went to the front door and asked for change so he could call someone. Clendenin gave some change for Aldridge, who departed the business after feigning to use the phone, as the two had worked together at that same establishment. Ronald said his younger brother had chickened out after returning to the car from the store around the corner. James Aldridge made the decision to return to the shop. Once more, Clendenin let Aldridge in. Aldridge then aimed his weapon at the clerk. Clendenin was led to the storeroom by Aldridge, who then tied his hands behind his back and emptied the safe and cash register. When he returned to the storeroom, he saw that Clendenin had moved, knocked him to his knees, and executed him by shooting him twice in the back of the head. Following the robbery and killing, Aldridge committed 7 further violent robberies. He participated in the robbery murder at a Fort Worth Whataburger, where his older brother Ronald was found guilty and put to death in 1995. Vernon Aldridge's final meal was a double meat bacon cheeseburger with lettuce, tomato, and salad dressing. He also asked for shoestring or crinkle-cut French fries with ketchup and banana pudding or banana pudding ice cream and watermelon or white seedless grapes. His last words were, "I am sorry, I really am. You, Brian's sister, thanks for your love. It meant a lot. Shane, I hope he finds peace. I am sorry I destroyed you all's life. Thank you for forgiving me. To the moon and back, I love you all. I leave you all as I come, in love." Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.